Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Tales from the Doghouse: Separation Anxiety Explained. I am Stacy Bell with Focused Fun in the US, and with me is...
Hello, I'm Ness Jones. I am in Australia from Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded. And Stacy, we're missing somebody.
We are missing somebody terribly. It's like a hole in our hearts. Yes, wipe away your tears, Ness. Wipe away your tears.
Yes, unfortunately, dear listeners and viewers, Sarah will not be joining us ever.
Again. Well, she might be a guest.
She might come on as a guest
to update us on boat life and Ernie's separation anxiety endeavors, or getting over separation anxiety endeavors. So, yes, we are both very sad.
Yeah, briefly, she's living on a boat now, if you've been following along, and having some connectivity issues with the internet. Not really sure whether she's ever going to be able to get on or not. So thought it best to sail off into the sunset, so to speak. Did you see what you did then?
You did. That was fantastic.
But today we are talking about things that people are maybe blamed for, if you like, for causing their dog to have separation anxiety. And we want to dispute them and put people's minds at ease about some of the things that people say to them that make them feel guilty, and, you know, all that gamut of emotions that, sorry, I have a dog climbing on me, that come along with people blaming, victim blaming, actually, isn't it, really, when you think about it?
Yeah. Well, and it's a real hot button for me because, well, as we'll talk about, the science doesn't support it, but it's so easy to just throw a post up on there on social media saying it's all your fault. And it's so crushing for pet parents to think that they've caused that. So this is just another one in our series of myth busting. So we're going to take this mythconception apart, and hopefully, if you've seen something out on the internet circulating that says it's your fault, hopefully listening to this will help put you at ease.
So I'm glad you mentioned social media, Stacey, because I actually polled my group, and if you're not in my group, you need to be in my group. If you're listening or doing this, it is Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded. We are 1,800 strong, a community of dog lovers with separation anxiety dogs. But I polled my group because I know there's people in there that have been told some very silly things. So I'm just quickly going to go through what people have been told by people. So the poll was, what are some of the things that have been said to you? And, you know, it's your fault. Your dog has separation anxiety because ... The highest one was you spoilt your dog. That was 30%. Then you let it sleep in your bed. You treated it like a baby. You greeted it too enthusiastically when you returned, you know, from being out. You never really gave your dog a chance to adjust on his or her own. And I would say that comes under the let him bark it out category. This is a good one. You need to show him you're the alpha.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That one always makes me giggle. She's a COVID dog. You didn't plan properly. Separation anxiety is an excuse for not training her properly. And this one is an interesting one. I haven't heard this one before, I have to admit. The anxiety can actually come from a dog that is insecure about its relationship with you and can actually stem from neglect.
Oh, yeah. There is some more research that comes from attachment theory in children with separation anxiety. Right. And so that comes from that. And there have been some more recent study, I think it's from Daniel Mill's group, actually, about kind of trying to apply attachment theory to what's happening in dogs with separation anxiety. And I think the underlying gist of it was we need more studies that like it's not a clear connection kind of thing. But the some of the other, was that all that you had?
Yeah, that's all that was in that thing. Yeah, in the poll.
Okay. So the the interesting thing, I did dig into the research a little bit because, like I said, it is so easy just to put those things out there. And so I was looking, and there are actually 4 papers that refute the link between spoiling and separation anxiety. So spoiling is not causing separation anxiety. It was King et al., Flanagan and Dodman, Storgensen and Lingas. Okay, all separate papers that looked at that, and good studies, that looked at that and found that there's not a connection.
I do remember talking about this in a former episode of the podcast. Somebody in my group was told that they were spoiling their dog because they took it to the park for walks and they groomed it and bathed it.
Yeah. So those are like in our eyes would be just taking care of the dog's needs. Yeah. Those would be, fall under that, enrichment/welfare, or however you're defining that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So for them, a lot of it was, letting the dog on the bed, fell into like the things that they were looking at as spoiling behaviors were letting the dog on the bed, feeding from the dinner table, things like that. There is another study from Flanagan and Dodman about following, like dogs that follow. And then I think some people say you shouldn't let your dog follow you. But that found that 84% of dogs with separation anxiety follow, and 64% of dogs without separation anxiety follow.
So my dogs follow me everywhere. Like, and they do not have separation anxiety. They're like, oh, is something fun going to happen? Are you going into the kitchen? Are you going to take me for a walk? Where are you going? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going to the bathroom? I'll keep you company. But they don't have separation anxiety. The two don't marry up, do they?
No, they really don't. And that we've bred them to want to be with us, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're social animals.
Right. So it is, so that was an interesting one. And then the whole greeting one too is really what you're looking at there. And I think we may have talked about this, is that greeting. I think we talked about it in our time episode, because I think there were some studies that showed that there was a differential of the longer you were out, the more, exuberantly a dog would greet its pet parent. But in this case, what we were talking about, that there was not a link between, I'm trying to remember who made the study, who did the study on this one. I cannot find it at the moment, but that greeting was unrelated, and that some dogs would greet more enthusiastically than kind of their baseline greeting, and that might indicate anxiety, but that we don't need to ignore our dogs, which is what we both tell our clients, is that you don't need to ignore your dog, just keep it low key.
Yeah. So you don't want to go, Pookie, I missed you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was that?
And then
what was that? I mean, look, I've got nothing to say about it. I remember Lisa, when she was on here with us, do you remember she said when she came home, she used to dance around the kitchen with her dog. But didn't have separation anxiety. But I mean, you can greet your dog, just be natural and be neutral. And can you imagine, I don't know, like it would be like if you're at home all day, like, I work from home, and we both work remotely. So we're pretty much at home all the time. And then I'm not sure about your husband, but maybe, if my husband came home and just
and
completely
you ignored him.
me. Just did
you
not
don't want
talk
him
to me.
to get anxious. Yeah. You don't want him to get anxious about like, being apart from you. So
that would actually make me
him.
anxious though, wouldn't it? I'd be like,
it
oh
would
my God.
be like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not be good. Yeah. So I think just, as we recommend, just that natural low key greeting is fabulous. And, some dogs are just exuberant greeters. And if you don't personally
mine might
have
be
a problem
in that
with that,
category.
Yeah. Rowan keeps 4 on the floor, but he does a lot of whining to indicate that he's happy you're home, and he has to go through your legs and get ear ruffles.
No, we don't get 4 on the floor. We get cuddles. We're like 2 on the floor and cuddle.
Yeah.
And
it really comes down to whatever works for your family there. The other one that I thought was really, really interesting was that another one that I sometimes hear is that you're spending too much time with your puppy or your young dog, and that caused them to have separation anxiety. And Bradshaw did a study that showed that that the more time pet parents spent with their young dogs, and he looked at 6 to 9 months for his young dogs, and the more socialized or the dog was. And for them, it was, I'm trying to think, exposed to people, new environments. And there might have been one more thing, but like just a normal,
things that they'll be exposed to.
Careful socialization plan. So the more time they spent with their dogs and the more socialized they were, the decrease in likelihood of separation anxiety. So it's not that, and I've heard, especially when I was working in rescue, some of the trainers that worked in rescue would say, your puppy should be in their crate 12 hours a day, or, and that's another one I hear. Yeah. I know. I was like, what? What? Then when is it out learning things or being exposed to things or whatever? Wow. So anyways, the big takeaway is that, spending time with your dog, spoiling your dog, letting your dog follow you, the whole breeding routine, like none of that is causing separation anxiety. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. And we did talk about puppies and following with Jessica Ring, if you want to go back and look at some of the other.
Yes.
It's only on podcast, that episode, not on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel too, by the way, and our podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, so if you've got a young puppy or an older puppy, go back and listen to that episode with Jessica Ring. She was our special guest. She's also a certified separation anxiety behavior consultant.
Consultant.
Yeah. Yep. And we talk about independence and puppies and following, apart from, among other things. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, look, dogs are social sleepers too. So, having them sleep with us is not going to cause separation anxiety, because dogs can often sleep with us and not have it, and they can sleep with us and have it, and they can they can not sleep with us and have it and not have it. And it doesn't, there's no correlation.
I feel like we should draw a picture of that.
But yeah, letting dogs on the furniture, letting dogs in the house. I mean,
letting them out the door first, letting them
the out the door
before
first
you
thing.
do, like all of those things, like not related.
Yeah,
not related at all. I think another big one is the crate stuff. If you don't crate train your dog, then you're kind of like setting them up to have separation anxiety, and that's one that we've already talked about, so we won't get into that here. But a lot of the spoiling stuff, when you start looking at it, is just really taking care of your dog's welfare. So I just think it's so interesting, that some people are looking at that as spoiling. Some of it's not, some of it's icing, but or it's just something you enjoy doing with your dog, like sleeping with your dog. It's not necessarily a, have to thing, but if you enjoy it and your dog enjoys it, it's not going to hurt anything.
And for someone to say maybe that you're interacting with the dog too much, I mean, that to me comes under maybe, enrichment and exercise. And, you might enjoy going to the beach, so you're taking your dog to the beach, or you're doing some fun activity with the dog, whether it's some sort of, agility or, some sort of hiking, or I don't know. But yeah, it's not spoiling anyway. It's just normal, as you say, enrichment stuff. So, yeah.
So if we're saying all of those things don't cause separation anxiety, what are some of the things that we have seen to be linked to separation anxiety?
Oh, so, genetics.
Yes.
I do quickly touch on that because in the sense that, there are some breeders out there that aren't perhaps looking at their bloodlines and looking at the dogs, the progeny, and then going, oh, I don't want to breed these ones again because they're very anxious dogs. I have on my books, I would say, get quite a lot of mini dachshunds and also oodle type dogs. But in saying that, in fairness to people that have those breeds, is it simply because those breeds are popular in Australia?
Right.
So in Germany, maybe you get more German Shepherds. I don't know. Is there a prevalence of anything in America, do you think?
Here there are a lot of doodle, oodle, poodle mix types.
Yeah.
And there's also labs and golden retrievers, I would say, are pretty popular, but there's a lot of mixes too, like just mixes as well. I get a lot of oodles though.
Yeah, same.
As well.
Yeah.
And a lot of rescues. I would say, I'm trying to think if I have a purebred dog, like from a breeder that's not an oodle on, like in my cases right now. And I think they're all oodles. And then others are.
Yeah. I think rescues. I would say probably 90%, maybe 80 to 90% of my clients have been oodle types. The next ones would be dachshunds. Purebreds, I've had staffies, a couple of three staffies, yeah.
I think I've had a dachshund. I have had dachshunds, but I don't know if they're purebred. But I think one of mine is purebred.
You speak
funny. Yeah. I'm funny girl.
Dachshund. I don't even know the
dachshunds. Okay, so I think another one of the things in addition to genetics is the neonatal stuff. So when the mama dog is pregnant, if there's any maternal stress or nutrition deficits, and like all of that comes into play as well. So quality of maternal care is really important. And then early life experiences for the pup. So this is like from when they were born to when you get them, and then also, after that, when you first have them, setting up those early life experiences.
Yeah.
I think another one that we maybe see in some dogs that develop it a bit later are big life changes or some kind of traumatic experience. I've had some dogs who were alone and there was like a really, really, really bad thunderstorm. And then after that, they just can't be comfortable home alone. And so we have to work through that a little bit. So that's not necessarily something that has to do with early life experiences or even maternal stress, or maybe not even genetics, maybe just a big scare for them. Something
I know of a dog, or of a couple of dogs that were fine, home alone. And then in the evening when the owners were out, they got robbed or someone broke in.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and then they were never fine to be left alone in the evening after that. Okay during the day, but not at night.
Yeah.
So they were.
Yeah, oh, that must have been so scary for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to kind of recognize that with fear-based behavioral problems that, we're not going to really know always what it stemmed from, right? It could be one thing or it could be a combination of those things. Like maybe genetics kind of gave them a predisposition towards it. And then, something else happened and then that kind of triggers it. So we don't really know. Do we need to know to be able to treat it? Mostly not. Mostly we control what we can. And move forward from there. So like if my dog had separation anxiety, knowing if it was a genetic thing or if it was an early life experience thing, or if it was a big life change, I'm still going to work with you through what's happening right now for your dog and help them, overcome that fear of being home alone. So that's why I say it doesn't really matter that we nail down what the case is for your dog. Would you agree with that, Ness, or do you have a different take on that?
I think it's helpful to know if it's, if there's some generalized anxiety going on because of some sort of genetic or early life experience thing, because then that would be maybe a case for medication.
Right.
If it was a big life change, or maybe it came under more of the, maybe it's not really anxiety, it's more frustration, FOMO, then do we need to look at meds or can we train the dog without them? So I feel it can be helpful, but not essential. So big life changes could be just quickly the death of somebody or the passing. So whether it's another canine or a family member, it could be just the stress of going through divorce or, a relationship breakdown, somebody significant leaving the home, somebody else coming into the home. What else? Moving's a big one.
Schedule changes. A lot of people were working from home during COVID and then them going back to work. If that change is really abrupt, that can kick it off.
And I mean, some dogs really struggle moving into a new home. It's interesting. I mean, we know what's going on, but we can't tell them. They just know that their whole life has been uprooted and suddenly they're in this new environment. Mum and dad are acting weird. There's all these packing cases everywhere. So we have to think about that and not leave them alone initially and all that sort of stuff. So, But, that can just freak them out a little bit, especially if they've got that kind of maybe underlying propensity to anxiety, anxious.
Right. So I guess our biggest point for y'all is that you didn't cause your dog separation anxiety. And that the big thing right now is that you have identified that your dog has separation anxiety. Is let's focus on bringing about some resolution of their anxiety. And if you're in Nessa's group, you'll get support there, or you can reach out to one of us individually for support. We both have resources on our websites as well as the library of podcasts if you're looking for some kind of background information.
Yeah. So, Stacey, what is your podcast? Your website?
I am at focusedfun.net.
And you're in America, but we both work remotely, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I've got clients I've had clients all over the place. So, yeah.
Yep.
And so have you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Tales from the Doghouse, Separation Anxiety Explained. I'm Ness Jones. I am in Australia, and I am from Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded.
And I am Stacey Bell in the US with Focused Fun. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye.